Welcome to the Antlered podcast, where we discuss beer, witchcraft, spirituality, and more.
We hope through conversation we can continue the trend of the collective awakening or just have fun and shit.
Today we will be drinking a brew called tea because we're sick.
Because we're ill.
We're sick, and to drink beer would set us back a few days, and we can't afford that.
No.
So just pretend it's beer.
Just pretend. Then we're going to share how we identify positive and negative paranormal entities, our paranormal experiences, and how we can protect ourselves.
So come on in.
Beyond the weather and the marsh, there is a whisper in the dark through the tides of decision, where wisdom knows the way. If you listen very still, there are answers to the end, where the ancient pulses deep of the memories you keep.
Welcome to the Antlered podcast. I'm Elwyn, and I'm a fourth generational hedge witch.
And I'm Amanda, the moderator, and I'm just here.
Oh.
Welcome. Hey.
So this next bit on the itinerary says talk about the beer.
Let's talk about the beer.
So
what kind of tea do you have?
this is turmeric, meadow sweet, and ginger. I don't think it's ginger.
No, I don't think. I think it. What does it say on the?
It says on here.
Ooh,
it says,
you got a nice little.
if you truly love nature, you will find beauty everywhere. Vincent van Gogh. Van Gogh.
It's like croissant.
Oh,
An American. I was being French there.
what does yours say?
Mine says puka, 3 mint.
That's pucker.
At pukaherbs.com. If you guys want some puka mint tea,
No,
that's where you
we're
can
not
get it.
sponsored by
We're
Puka
sponsored
Mint.
by Puka Mint today.
No, we're not.
No, we're
Don't
not.
listen to her. We're not.
You could sponsor us if you wanted to. We wouldn't mind.
You really wouldn't, actually.
No,
we drink a
honestly,
lot of tea,
we
to
do
be
drink
fair.
a lot of tea.
All right. Well, that's the beer out the way.
Should we have a sip of our teas?
Yes. Oops,
Okay.
I just knocked the thing.
I'm feeling very Antlered Crown today. I'm wearing my Antlered Crown baseball tee, and I have my Antlered Crown mug.
Nice. I have none of those things. But I have this very nice sort of pinky terracotta mug.
That's mine, actually.
That's yours.
Yeah.
And this jumper that's a little bit big for me, and that's why I like it.
It looks good on you, though, babe.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mine's a bit hot.
Oh, yeah, it's a little bit hot.
Also, we had a question last time about the candle, because we usually have a candle going while we're filming this.
Yes,
and
we do.
These candles, you guys should know and check them out, are by Riverside Grace Candles. And they're on Instagram and on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And holy moly.
They're lovely. They smell nice.
So good.
And also, you get, like, I had one candle here, had pearls in it. Like, not like little, the proper real pearls in them on the top. And this one's nice because you get a bowl.
Yeah, she likes to make, she likes to put it into different containers, like goblets and really cool stuff.
Like brass chalice. So, like, for a little travel altar or something, you know, an actual brass chalice.
They're really cool.
With the candle.
Well, and also
Usable
she
item,
like gives you like spells and the intention you should set with your candle.
Yeah.
Because there's different herbs and different gems
so each one's
put
like
into
a
it.
spell candle. It's great. It's cracking stuff. Lovely.
I find the problem with a lot of like custom candles or Etsy shop candles or whatever, what have you, is that they don't smell. Like they don't perfume the area. And I like a stanky candle.
Well, you'd need one. I'm joking.
Fucking rude as hell. Fucking hell. We want to talk, aren't we?
Only if I've had dairy.
But yeah, I like these ones. I'm going to have to buy some when we run out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to talk about, we have a lot to get through, so maybe it's good. Maybe this all happened for a reason. Maybe we got sick so we can drink beer, so we can really focus on the topic today, because we have a lot to shoot through.
I think I'd be able to focus more with the beer. Just because this illness is like, it's concentrating all on the face now. My face is in pain.
Yeah.
It hurts.
You need, why don't you go pop into the shower after this and super hot, get that steam.
I already had a shower today.
Well, if you're hurting, might be necessary. It's not about the shower so much as the steam. I could put the humidifier in your room. No. I said your room like we don't stay in the same room.
That's really weird. We do, I promise you, we do.
I just said your side of the bed.
Why did you do that? In your room, This is a sham of a marriage. Anyways.
So today we're going to talk about different paranormal entities. So first on the list.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before in the last few weeks, is ancestors. Are they considered a paranormal entity?
Honestly, when it comes, as far as I'm concerned, there are very, very, very few things that are paranormal.
Okay. I think a lot of people would be upset to hear that.
No. Don't get me wrong. I didn't mean that things that people encounter aren't paranormal. But paranormal is something, in other words, in the sense of something that is out of the ordinary, that cannot be explained. From my perspective, it's not really out of the ordinary, so therefore it's not paranormal.
Right.
Is all I meant.
Okay.
Once you break these things down to what they are, just to name a few that we're going to name in this podcast,
right,
and you understand them, it's really, for me personally, it takes the fear out of things. I find, at least.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean,
So are ancestors considered?
Oh yeah, back to that.
Excuse you.
Sorry.
Are they considered like ghosts? Are they considered?
No, they're
spirits. They come haunt your house?
No.
Like, what if you had a murderer, like as a relative? Would they come haunt your house? Are they considered a paranormal entity?
Why would what?
I don't know. I just went there. That's where I went. Ancestors.
Why would you go
How about
there?
our ancestors and ghost family members? Are they different things?
Okay. I see what you're trying to get
you
at.
see where I'm going?
Ancestral spirits are spirits who still come to you, who have that connection to you. They reside in spirit. Yet they
not on this plane.
They are not on this plane. However, they do cross over to this plane, usually when we talk to them or we think or talk about them, or they feel called for some way, because even though you may not personally see them, you may feel them, you may hear them, you may see them, to be honest, but they can still offer support and healing. That's the point.
Yeah.
Whereas what you're talking about here is in the forms of ghosts as a restless spirit. That's something different. One of the number one things that we usually find with a restless spirit...
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Okay.
Say that again.
Okay. One of the number one things that we usually find when it comes to a restless spirit is that there is, which I don't like the term, and we've all heard it, unfinished business. However, the unfinished business is not usually unfinished. Like, I forgot to file my tax returns. I never managed to see Timmy's Little League, you know, whatever. It's not that. It's more to do with guilt, shame, and fear. Primarily fear, because fear is where a lot of these feelings stem from. And because these are base emotions, These are very human, very earthly sort of emotions. They tether you to this plane. Now, that doesn't mean to say that when you cross over, you must be free of fear and hate and all these other things in order to cross over. No. Let's, for instance, take your analogy to what you said, a murderer. Now, what?
I went there.
You went there.
I did.
A murderer. Murder. I went all taggart.
You did.
A murder.
Okay, I found it.
Okay, so
Hold on.
they, for instance, say were a rather disturbed individual who enjoyed hurting people. Obviously, there are things there that went very wrong regarding their choices and the things that they may have given into in their life. We don't know what happened, but there is obviously something there that is wrong.
Right.
When they cross over, the initial ingrained fear of what the afterlife will hold once the sudden realization that they are in the afterlife, that there is one, because, then they do not want to move on. Instead, they remain within this sort of loop here where some of them realize that they can almost carry out the same horrible things that they try to do
To other people.
To
for
other
however
people.
long they want.
for however long they want.
Ooh.
Now, this is a rare situation when something that drastic happens.
Right.
It is fairly rare. You do have other spirits, obviously, who just haven't moved on. Sometimes they get stuck. Sometimes they get stuck in sort of like a void space where energy sort of just pulls everything in and they can't actually escape it. That happens too. Buildings, things
I feel like
that
we've seen a
hold-
bit of those on some of the ghosty shows.
Oh, yeah. Well,
like where there's no hope and it's not like you can cleanse the space, it's just the energy point or whatever. It's on like a ley line or
it's like a sinkhole, basically. You can't fill it in.
right.
Because you have to remember that everything has this wonderful unity of balance
Right.
to it. And just the same that there is places of wonderful healing, warmth, safety, the same there is the opposite. But I hate to point the finger here.
Ooh.
The sole reason that most dark entities exist is because of human beings.
It's your fault.
It is. Humans have greed. They commit atrocities. What happens in certain places over time, atrocities, this energy where blood is spilled, where pain is felt, it breeds more of this energy that happens around it. Eventually it feeds on it, then it takes form. This is not a fully conscious thing. This is just almost like a fire.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. So what you're talking about now is not so much because you started with murder.
No, I started
and now
with
we're
murder,
in like
but
negative energy
this
spaces.
is they
that what you're
cross
talking
over.
about?
Yeah, but
Okay.
like fire. If you watch fire is alive. Okay, it's alive. It does not have consciousness, but yet you see the flames reaching out, licking other objects and things to try and get a hold to spread. And it is the same kind of thing that this dark energy has. Over time, it builds up this sort of life. It is not fully conscious. It does not have this sort of motor function of direction and where to direct things. It simply latches on to what it can to try and feed itself. And this is what happens. And this is where a lot of dark entities begin to take form. This is where a lot of dark entities start to get sort of consciousness and are able to break away and actually at the end of the day, That's what I mean. Human beings, they started that. They also, by prying, they go and open things that they don't understand, and they do things that they don't understand, which just lets in other things that are completely not of this existence, like not of this dimension at all. Well, I'm not talking about spirits, I'm talking about other things.
So we're talking about like Ouija boards. We're talking about
the Ouija boards just annoy me, to be honest. It's a parlor game. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we're talking about people opening lines of communication that they shouldn't be opening, or they don't know enough about to be opening.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean,
is what you mean.
You know, today, you know, if you were, depending on your age, obviously, but you were still told, you know, you don't put your address out on the internet. Mm-hmm. And the same goes for when you are trying to communicate with any of the sides. There is more than one, just the other side. People think, oh, it's the place where my grandma and my dog lives, and they're running through the meadows and they kiss and it's lovely and beautiful. No.
They kiss.
Well, not
on
like
the lips?
Maybe. I don't know.
Mimo, what were you doing?
It depends what Mimo's idea of heaven was, I suppose. We don't know.
I think she was in the bad energy place.
I doubt that because the dog was there.
You know what kind of dog Mimo had, though? She definitely...
I was a golden retriever.
No,
I immediately thought of a golden retriever.
she had a beagle.
No.
Yeah.
Because she'd have to stoop down to kiss it. And
yeah,
she
old.
She
was doing, yeah.
Okay, can we stop this because this is weird? I don't know where your mind is going on that, and I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I think we passed the gutter there. Just wait and tell her. Right. But the point is, it's not just that. Mm-hmm. There are countless other planes of existence.
Right.
Between those, the space between spaces.
Yeah.
And you never know. There is not an exact science if you are using rudimentary tools to try and reach into the beyond to find someone. That's like standing, well, like I said, like me going online and just being like, hey, if anyone has found this, my address is this.
Yeah.
Can you please post it back to me? So many people are going to just start showing up to my house, know where I live. It's dangerous. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing. You're trying to find one person, but you're advertising yourself and welcoming so many other things, not people. Some of them pretend to be people, but not all of them are.
Or maybe they started out as people and have developed into something worse.
That is a rare, rare thing. You have to really be... I believe there is hope for every single spirit. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe that to an extent, but looking at it from a short term, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So going on from there, I feel like we should skip the second one and maybe move on to feeders or shadow people.
Let's go to feeders because I made a thing about that, so some people would like to know what a feeder is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. A feeder is once again this form of negative energy. Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to a feeder, many people believe that, you know, the idea of the nightmare, you see the classic sort of etchings and the portrayals of the imp resting on top of a woman's chest as she sleeps, or the actual horse, which is a nightmare. That's the point. Mm-hmm. Now, back then, they would be called demons. However, they are actually formless creatures born of consciousness. They are emotions that have been saturated to a specific, usually born from a specific place that has like very high sort of psychic energy, and almost like just a primordial ooze, and enough of the right stuff kind of... Why is that funny?
A primordial ooze.
Enough of the right stuff gets poured into it and something crawls out. Once again, this does not have a soul.
Excuse me.
This does not have a soul. It does not have a spirit. It is similar to like a single cell organism, if you like. It has one primary purpose, and that is just to survive on what it can. So therefore it goes around leeching off of people by invading dream states, because dreams are when most of us are most susceptible to outside influences and energies. They then make us feel, I mean, if you ever have one of those dreams where it's not always fear to begin with, it starts off with the things of fear that are subtle, the ones that make you think that you've lost someone you loved, you wake up and you've been crying, those sort of things. It builds, though. It builds and builds, usually over time. They mark you. They mark your arms, your legs, your neck, your back, usually with scratches or bruises, usually some form of violent mark, because at the end of the day, this is all these things are. They are just violence and negativity. There's nothing else. So they feed, they mark their food.
There's no reasoning with them.
They do not discriminate between anything. If I'm completely honest with you, and I don't usually say this because people get worried, they target, if they can, children.
Yeah.
Because children obviously are a lot easier to frighten. That is the point.
The imagination is primed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
However,
Makes sense.
not my fucking kids. But however, they are not common. Okay, like someone listening to this may actually be experiencing. They're that sort of common, but they're not like everyone's got one. Okay, really, really bad stuff has to happen and continually happen over a long time for something like that to take a conscious form, or a conscious sort of formless mass.
But if someone moved into a place where that had been happening,
then
it could easily...
Most certainly, yes. Yeah.
Just wanted to be clear.
Buildings,
it's not
things.
Okay, so if that person leaves that place, that thing could follow them essentially as well.
It depends. Now, you see, if you move into a place, it means that feeder, as I call them, is still linked to where these things happened. But they actually, it's almost like the evolution of this entity. It can eventually break away from that area. If it gets strong enough and it feeds enough, it can break away from that area, and then it travels. However, usually, as I said, such things, they kind of lay dormant because they have a half-life. They simply just go from thing to thing, just trying to get fear or feed off of fear and the negative emotions that they are made of.
Right.
They are pathetic, to be completely honest. As much as they sound scary, they're not. They're pathetic. They're parasites. Think of them as a giant mosquito.
Yeah.
That's it. And you can get rid of them fairly easy.
That's good.
Okay. Yeah. And that's what I call them. I call them feeders. Some people call them dream demons or something like that, which aren't always the same thing. But yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about shadow people.
Okay.
I think shadow people, if I were to define a shadow person, I would say it's someone kind of like what we were saying before, who's done something really awful in a previous life and has chosen to stay because they get kicks and giggles out of doing the same thing.
No.
Sweet. I'm so smart.
No. Well, no. There is a lot of mystery surrounding shadow people. Okay? They are a completely different form. They are not just the glimpse of a spirit that you see in the corner of your eye. There's something else. They have particular... Now, once again, the odd shadow person is very common.
Yeah.
It's very common. You often see them just looking around corners. You see them walking past. You know, they're just moving around. It's almost as though they just watch, and they watch us, and we don't know why. But they, from what I feel, from what I have seen and what I have been told, they never were human. They, as I said, when there's just a few, usually there's one, but when there's just a few at least, they aren't a problem. However, they often find places to have doorways, portals, where
you talked about this
they
before.
Come through. Yeah. And that's when that becomes a problem, because then it's almost as though they are keeping their intention under wraps. There is something very off about shadow people. I don't know what it is, but it's almost as though they are trying to be very sort of reconnaissance, and they are...
A bit alienish, huh?
I don't know about that. But
sounds like you're making it sound like to me that they're on a different plane of
they're
existence.
a different dimensional...
Okay.
They are. They're a different dimensional...
They're different dimensional being.
I don't know what it... To me, it feels more like a chaos sort of thing, a chaos dimension. It's not... You know...
you're telling me that shadow people don't come from the land of snuggly bunnies?
I mean, clues
Why
in the name.
not?
You know, clues in the name, to be honest.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Not that I'd snuggle a bunny, to be fair.
She hates bunnies.
I don't like them. I'd snuggle a snake.
That's not a euphemism. We have snakes. You're right. Don't breathe into the microphone.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no. Right.
So shadow people, not ghosts.
Shadow people aren't exactly
Aliens.
ghosts. They're not the dead, as far as I can tell. They come in different sizes, yes. They're not aliens. Depends on what your definition of alien is, I suppose.
They're aliens to me. I have a very broad definition.
Interdimensional beings that kind of project themselves here, and I don't know why. And it disturbs me because I need to know why. I do. I need to know why.
I know. That's just your Virgo side coming out.
No, I need to know why to defend humanity. No, I'm joking.
For the good of
I'll go
Middle Earth.
I'll go and get the saucepan and put it on my head. No.
I'll get the tinfoil. I'll make a cone for my head.
Oh, that's nice.
Like an alien.
Like a burrito.
Oh, I love a burrito.
Oh, I feel sick when I talk about burritos.
Oh,
Now, I am sick. I don't want any food. I want to lay down. I can't believe you're making me do a podcast right now.
Wow.
I'm so sick. Right, anyways. So, shadow people.
Scary.
Yeah.
They're
not scary. Like, once again, a nuisance. They're a bit like a wasp. Like, no one wants them there. No one knows what they're about and what they're for. But they're there and just
and they
ignore
make
them.
portals for themselves, and then when you
Eventually
have a portal, you're fucked.
No,
pretty much.
No, you can close those. But I just don't know what they're there. There is an objective. It's almost as though they all are working towards something.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is.
You ask Benji.
That's very hush-hush, and he doesn't like them.
Oh, all right.
He does not like them. No, and I don't care who you are. If you disagree with me, fine. But I'm telling you now, spirit, as in where our ancestors and our guides are from, do not like shadow people. They don't like them. Okay? And if they don't like them, I sure as hell don't like them either. Okay?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Should we go on to wraiths?
A wraith?
Yeah. Wraith.
Do you want to tell me what a wraith is?
Is that similar to the I don't want to say the word fairies? Like forest fairy? It's like a type of forest fairy, right? No? It's a banshee.
Lord save me from this. She's only been married to me for 4 years.
It's a not nice person.
So you have someone, as we talked about, who commit atrocities and then refuses to move on, perhaps even enjoys not moving on and feels that they can carry on their dastardly work. The wraith, in this sense, usually begins as innocent. Mm-hmm. However, a wraith is corrupted by those monstrosities. It is stripped of if it's in limbo at least, it is stripped of that which made it human. The spirit is still there, it is intact, but it is vengeful. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you have a victimized, vengeful spirit that is what you can call spectral, depends, but its work is basically, its whole purpose is anger. This is different emotions, and the emotion for a wraith is primarily anger and sadness. Okay, so it's basically the same as a restless spirit, or if you like, a poltergeist, whatever you want to call them, of a very nasty person. But this is usually someone who's more of a victim. Doesn't mean to say that they weren't a nasty person, but just, you know, those people who play victim to the point where they believe it and they can't. Yeah, that's kind of what a wraith is. Okay, those qualities, they carry over because you still hold on to the human qualities you have, and obviously over time those negative things grow. The more positive parts of your humanity are pushed aside, and that is what's left. Wraiths are different. They're still a spirit in a form, but they are recorded throughout history as being different. Japan, Germany, England, all over, there are forms of wraiths, which is usually that of a vengeful spirit that has been scorned or betrayed immensely. Once again, depends on the person. Honestly, depends entirely on the person. Wraiths are very rare. Much more rare than they used to be because of the way life has changed. Yes.
Where'd you see a wraith?
I was in Wales. Yeah.
The last time you were there, or before that?
I think it was before that. Yeah. I was up by a castle, and there was this, like, it's difficult to describe. It was almost as though a dehydrated person, but with, like, almost like a cocoon of white tendrils coming out, like white and grey, like tiny little cobwebby things moving all around them, and this feeling of just sadness and anger. As I said, but yeah, it was a man. Usually people associate a wraith with a woman, but it's not true. Can be both. There's all this idea of a wraith as like a scorned bride, but it's not really the case. Yet, once again, I was quite young at the time, otherwise I probably would have done something else about it. But
yeah,
I was there on holiday, so it's not my job.
Yeah. Well. Oh.
Yeah.
Do you think it was just somebody that had lived in the castle at one point?
Oh, no. It was probably something that I think wraiths in particular, they are localized, but they aren't usually associated with structures and things. They are more like something that ties them like geographically to the land. Yeah. You look bored as F.
No, that's just a scary story. I don't like that one.
Really?
Yeah. So tell me about PK manifestations.
What was a PK? Basically...
Paranormal knees.
Close.
Paranormal kids.
Kittens, actually.
Kittens.
Psychic kittens. That's what it's... Yeah, we all want
manifest
the
some
psychic
kikis.
kitten. You know, like Charles Xavier? Little bald kittens in wheelchairs. Holding their temples. And
I think we have the episode name now.
what, little bald kittens
Little
in wheelchairs?
bald kittens in wheelchairs.
No, that sounds really
How about
bad.
just
If you
bald
don't...
kittens?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
No, because it sounds like you could be describing your penis.
No, it doesn't.
It's like a little bald kitten. Yeah,
You would
it's
think
horrible.
that. No, that's gonna be it.
Okay. So there are people, usually children to begin with, and it depends entirely upon age of when certain things peak, who have abilities to... Now, we all have abilities to manifest, okay? PKs, what they can do, they can actually manifest something to the point. They can actually create entities. Similar to how you have these negative energies and these feeders and things like this.
Yeah, feeders.
They can actually, like, sometimes in certain houses that people are, like, they're feeling they're terrorized by some sort of spirit, things that are happening, a lot of it can, not always, okay, be due to a person who has PK abilities, who is actually manifesting these things completely unwittingly to themselves. Once, however, a power that can be harnessed is fantastic. However, it's a dangerous one at that. You can do all sorts of things with it, as you can imagine.
But most people don't recognize they've created a PK.
No.
Right.
No. It's in the 70s. There was a form of magic that I still use, even though it was given a bad rep because people weren't taking it seriously. It was they were being stupid. And
As people do.
As people do. But you can look that up, that form of magic. It's called servitors. A servitor is basically a PK manifestation, in a sense, that you give form, you give a purpose to. It is a soulless entity. It has only its purpose, and when its purpose is fulfilled, it will die unless you tell it otherwise or repurpose that servitor. There are key things that you need to know about the servitor. There are key words, key senses, smells to recollect in order to summon it. You can bind them to objects. You can even bind them to your personal appendages. They can work fantastically well. People often use images of animals. It works better than people. Now, however, in the 70s, people were not releasing servitors. Instead of what they were doing is they was like, oh, but I love him. No, the servitor doesn't have a soul. It is something you have created. Once it has outlived its purpose, you either get rid of it or you repurpose it, because what will happen is the same as any PK entity or a feeder or anything that is born out of energy, like psychic energy, which is it will eventually take on its own consciousness, its own desires, and they won't be desires like it wants to do something. It will just be carrying these things out as it sees it should, because you've left it there. So people were like, oh, it backfired on me, and now like I've had to move house and stuff like this. And it's like, yeah, because you're dabbling in an experimental piece of magic, which is honestly like, it annoys me, but it's a really useful piece of magic.
Yeah.
Just used correctly. And that is basically similar to what a PK manifestation is. Meh.
Okay. Have you ever created a PK manifestation that wasn't a servitor? That was like on accident?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the same as a PK manifestation. I once got angry at someone, and I wasn't there. I was on the phone to them, but then as I shouted at them on the phone, every light in their house blew.
Oh boy!
Like shattered blue, and there was like screaming on the phone and stuff. And I was like, huh. No, I wasn't. But I was like, oh no, like, did I do that? But
did I do that?
So yeah, there has been times where, especially as I said, children with PK abilities, once they hit puberty, emotions are what these energy runs off of, not logical thinking. It is emotion, and therefore, emotion running high as a teenager creates problems. However, I will add also that for me, when we reach a certain age, where we become into puberty or whatever, we are bound by choice. And at the time, you're like, no, I don't want to, I don't want to be bound. I don't want you to shut me down. And then after a short time, as puberty goes on, you realize I want you to shut me down. I can't handle it. So and then you do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's too much. For kids with special psychic abilities, PK abilities, whatever, especially if they're naturals, going through puberty is bad enough. But going through puberty as a psychic is hell on earth.
Yeah.
Especially if you're shoved in a school with, like, I don't know, 250 other people who are also going through puberty. It's not good. Bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
Bad things happen.
I imagine so.
So let's just leave that at that.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Right.
Now, so, onwards. Sorry. Okay.
So, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know what you're saying. I don't know. I thought you was going to ask another question.
Well, we can talk about we could talk about nature spirits, but we do need
a long one. We need to start wrapping it up.
Okay.
Okay. Well. Okay. Firstly, I want to ask you the same questions.
What?
Not all of the same, obviously.
No, God.
But like shadow people. Have you ever encountered shadow people?
I don't think so. Probably not.
No, you haven't. You've encountered a few spirits.
Yes.
You have encountered a few spirits. Why don't you tell us a little bit of a story about
my haunted house story?
Your house when I first met you and the house you were living in, because that was out there.
Yeah. When I first met you, I was living in a house, and I live in an area that is known to be Native American, and obviously was colonized, as we like to do.
I mean, the sun hit it, so yeah.
Yeah. And it was a prime spot. It's at the top of this hill in a valley overlooking a river. So it's a really pretty area, but it's also a prime spot for where they probably would have camped and lived their lives, or,
buried people.
Not saying that I've ever come across any. I mean, I lived in a suburban area. It wasn't like, it felt a bit poltergeist. I'm going to put it that way. But yeah, it was funny because it was before I ever met Elwin, and I was having these experiences, and it was just me and my daughter. My eldest lived there, and she was just terrified. Even the dog was scared to be downstairs at night, because just things would go flying around the house, like legit flying. Things would move. We used to have the thing that most consistently happened, and it literally gave me so much anger, and I started screaming. I would start screaming because I'd get so angry because things would happen so much.
Yeah.
But they would love to knock. You know, like if you get one of those big gallon jugs of laundry detergent and you put it on the shelf, there's no moving that. Like, it's on a shelf. It's not like I didn't like slide it to the edge or anything. They would love to like open the cabinet and push that mother trucker out, and it would crack and it would hit the floor and it would, oh gosh. And so then I started putting it on the floor, and then they move it into the hallway, and then it would sit in the hallway and I'd trip over it going to my daughter's room or something. That one was the one that happened the most often, but
storming around on the landing as well.
Yeah, storming around on the landing at the top of the stairs.
Fake charge the door and stuff, and someone would try and always get in there. I remember when we pulled up, and there was someone in her bedroom. Yeah,
in the window. My daughter's window,
And being the very outgoing, spirited child that she was, anyone who would just show up while she was sleeping, she'd just be like, "Hi, what's your name? Do you want to be friends?" And like, "No, right, you can't.
You really shouldn't talk to
talking to them." Like, there was like one there that she talked to who was just lost, bless him. He didn't know, but I remember that. I remember seeing them just like when I was in England and we were talking over
video chat.
Over video chat, there was one standing behind you.
Creeps.
And I think the one time where it kind of got to enough was when you had seen them all standing in the tree line.
Oh, that was creepy. I'll never get that out of my head.
Wooded area at the back of the thing, and it was
the back of my property.
Dusk, wasn't it?
And they're just all lined up back there.
Yeah.
That was really scary.
They were just standing there watching.
Yeah.
It was. The weird thing is they don't come near me. Like, they never have. Whenever when I come into your house, then it stopped.
Yeah, it would stop. The activity. And then actually, before I met you, the person I was dating, I think maybe they had more of a sensitivity to it and weren't in touch with that. And it drove a wedge in our relationship. And I seriously think they broke him down mentally. And I had a basement at the time, and
That's where a lot
of it was in the basement.
You'd feel it in there. Yeah. You'd know immediately.
Yeah. And he would spend all of his time down there and fall asleep down there. And it like became such a horrible space. None of us. It was a really nice basement. It had a bar and everything. Nobody wanted to go down there, though.
I think we solved the reason why I didn't want to leave. It had a bar. It was really nice. It had a bar, but he would never leave.
But, yeah. There was one other time, too. And our front door... So this could just be a mundane thing and not a magical thing, but it had a bad lock, and we replaced the lock on it. And I was like, okay, like it's better now, because, you know, being a single mom, I wanted to make sure we were locked in, like nice and tight, and nice and tight. And my dog likes to sleep in front of the front door, back at that place. She doesn't do that anymore.
She doesn't do that here. She feels safe here.
Yeah, she liked to sleep.
She's nowhere near as nervous as she was.
No, she's not.
Which is why she doesn't like Spirit, even the good ones, when they come around now.
She's like, no, all of you are bad.
Oh, bad stuff.
But one time I woke up, it was like a bang, like someone opened a door and slammed it open. And I was used to it by this point. I was like, what the fuck? Who is it this time? And so I go check on my daughter, and then I look, and you can, from my bedroom door, you can see the front door, and it's wide open, like the lights outside, which I always leave on at night, are all off. And I'm like, fudge. And my dog is barking and freaking out. And she's like running up the stairs, running down the stairs, like somebody is busted in. And I was like, I was terrified. So I called the cops. I was like, somebody busted in. I locked myself in the bedroom with my daughter. I'm like, there's somebody in my house.
And the dog, right?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. She was running around barking. I was like, I'm not going over there.
Fair enough. You split second decision. You're like, I'm sorry, dog, but I got my daughter.
I gotta go get my kid.
Yeah, fair enough. She's alive.
The cop went through the whole house and probably thought I was nuts. And like, nobody's here. Just lock your door again.
Yeah.
Like, what the flame jam?
The thing is that you, like, naturally, you just live with it.
Yeah.
And when you met me, I said that there's something weird here. Like, I remember sitting outside your house, and everything kind of fell away because it was winter.
Yeah.
Everything fell away, and there was like this rolling hill, and there was a river that ran down it, and it was like you could see forever, and it wasn't winter.
Right.
And it was so amazing. I was like, wow. And then all of a sudden, like, this kind of like this dark things went like that.
Yeah.
And it was winter again. I was like, that was weird. So, when I went home, I said, like, let's look up. And we found that, do you remember we found that thing online, which basically was like, we were trying to find if there was a form of a native, like, archaeological evidence. And what it was is that they found evidence of what was possible to be a form of burial. They found vessels and things like this and things. But
no human bones.
No human remains. But it was, and they had experts, native experts, come out and say, look, these are usually conducive with sort of like inhumations
these types
or
of tribes,
things like that. And they said, no, there isn't enough evidence to support it, and they carried on with the build anyway.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's like just like all the dots connected.
Yeah.
And
not the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely happy we moved out of that place.
Yeah. It was very oppressive.
Oh God, it was.
It was like just always a feeling. And it was not something you can get rid of. That's one thing you have to understand, is that you can't get rid of someone who is tied to the land.
So what kind of spirits then were in that place? Was it more of just an energy, like bad things had happened there, so things were tied there?
That was a place, what I feel from it, okay? That was a place of death. No, but that is where what is of the land returns to the land, okay?
Right.
That's where it goes. And over time, a lot of time, for whatever reason this was a special place, originally, it draws in the dead, okay? And this is why our daughter would be talking to, like, Civil War soldiers called Tom. Do you remember? She was describing this man with brass buttons and a thingy coat, and his name was Tom, and he carried a stick with a knife on the end of it. I was like, a stick with a knife? And he swears a lot. Do you remember that? She was only like 6 at the time. And you see, and you can't get rid of the original inhabitants of this place. This is their place. Like, they're of it now. That's it. You can't, it's not like you've got a spirit in your house that just won't leave. You're on it.
You're on their space. This is their house.
Yeah, you're haunting them. You need to leave. And people can't handle that because obviously, I understand, they pour investment, they want time and things. But trust me, things can go really bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. Yeah.
So, before this podcast came out, we asked some viewer questions on our Instagram account, the Antlered Crown. And I had them here, and now they're gone because
I've got them on. Are they on the paper, or is that not it?
No. Okay. Do you want to? How about you ask the question, and I'll give you the answer.
Okay. Have you had a paranormal experience?
76% of our followers said yes. 76% is a lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, they follow us. It's not like we're a couple of bakers. Otherwise, it would probably be a little less.
Could you imagine? Have you had a cookie ghost before?
A cookie ghost? I'm trying to think of a pun quick.
Gingerbread man. Anyway.
Pun?
No, it's not.
Ghost loaf. No.
Ghost loaf. That's a strong contender for the podcast.
I like ghost loaf.
Ghost loaf. That's funny.
Just shape of a sheet ghost, like, ooh.
Your bread box is haunted.
Bread box?
Yeah, for your ghost loaf. Your bread box is like shaking. Oh, the ghost loaf is at it again.
My God.
There's primordial ooze coming out of your bread box. It's that ghost loaf, man.
It's starting to turn smutty sounding.
Ooh. You and your bald kitties today.
The Bald Kitties weren't smutty.
That'd be a really good band name.
The Bald Kitties?
Yeah. Be all girls. All girls.
All girls,
band.
but bald.
Yeah. Bald girls.
But just the top bit. You're all long hair at the sides like this, but just the top bit's bald.
Like a Friar Tuck haircut.
Tonsure.
I don't know what that is.
That's the hairstyle.
Oh. Only you would know what that's called. Okay, ask the next question.
I'm old. Were you or someone else harmed?
Ooh.
Presumably during a paranormal experience,
Yeah.
not just in general, because there'll be a lot of people.
8% said yes, but 92% said no. So most
That
people
checks
haven't
out.
been harmed.
No, as I said, they're not that common. Like
Demon possession.
usually when you get harmed, it's because something gets strong enough. And demons aren't real in that sense either. They are usually just the PK manifestations.
Yeah. They're not like the movies then? Where like...
They're
They're throwing people up on the ceiling.
No, there are exceptions, but the way that they look and the way people see them as is purely because of Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, they just project. They just show what you're kind of projecting fear-wise, or what you think a demon is. Next one. Mm-hmm. Has it reoccurred?
45% said yes. 55% said no. That's pretty dang close. That's a toss-up if it's reoccurred. Close. I guess it depends if they lived in like a haunted house like I did. Because then, yes, it's reoccurred.
I honestly, I don't have my glasses on for that bit. And I honestly thought this said, did you inflate contact? Did you initiate contact?
7% said yes. And 93% said no.
Some smart people. Very smart. Good. Well done, all of you.
We
don't
appreciate
initiate
it.
contact.
Don't do it.
Honestly, it's not worth it. And they can always leave a message. If you did initiate contact, did you take steps to protect yourself?
27% said they did take steps to protect themselves.
But 73% says no.
You guys! You're like, I'm going to talk to these ghosts.
Before
nothing can
anything,
get in my way.
Protection is so important.
Do so much research. Like, how can I talk to spirits and then nothing to protect yourself? What are you doing?
Buy a megaphone and a big bell. Is anybody there? Ding, ding, ding.
Bring out your dad. Ding.
Bring out your dad. If you didn't initiate contact or were harmed, did you take steps to protect yourself after? So same sort of question.
Yeah, after. Yeah. 53% said yes. So if they were harmed or didn't initiate contact, so they had an experience they didn't like, they did go ahead and take protection afterwards. So that's good.
That's good. That's common sense.
If you didn't and you were safe, then you had it and you're like, shit, I need to protect myself.
Yeah.
Good thinking on you.
So, yeah, because you can cut that in half, like initiate contact or were harmed. So half of you maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. So what can we do to protect ourselves?
Okay. The first thing is your guides can help protect you.
Okay.
You don't need to know your guide's name. You don't need to know what they look like necessarily. You just have to know that they're there and talk to them. Okay. Right. Now this seems strange, but when you address your guide, it is your guide. Okay.
Yeah.
Only once have I seen something that was pretending to be someone's guide. That was a sneaky thing. And it came from your house.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. The old house. And it wasn't even my guide. It was someone else who I was working with. Now, forget that though.
This is a story we're going to have out at another date.
Maybe. Apart from working with guides, cleanse yourself completely. Now, when I say cleanse yourself, it is simply visualization. Okay? But it's really effective. Okay?
Yeah.
It's so effective. And you're like, oh, it's just a visualization. Yeah, but everything that many of these things feed off and use as a weapon are simply just visualizations from you. Okay? They get that from you and then they'll use it against you. What you're trying to visualize is almost like a cleanse through your body of like water, like standing under a shower of multicolors, just washing away anything. After that, then you surround yourself in an orb or an egg shape. Some people prefer a gold light, silver light, a white light, purple light. Honestly, when it comes to this sort of thing, I'll go with the gold. It's not my personal preference, but gold seems to work well. This can help, especially if you do this before bed and when you wake up in the morning, because it does fade off. But this visualization, try and really feel that, push that energy out there, surround yourself with it, and then set it. So when I say set it, it's almost like imagine it slowly from the top down turns to like this smooth clay, soft grey matter that is impenetrable. And then it sets like cement. Okay, that sort of visualization. There are things on my YouTube about that, and I also have the thing about on my shop about communication with your spirit guides as well.
Yeah, the spirit guide meditation connection.
The more you communicate with your spirit guides, the more that you can work with them about forms of protection also. Okay.
How do you protect your home then? Is there a way to keep them from even entering where you need to keep routinely protect yourself? Like,
entities have a way of holding on to objects. Okay, they can grow from that almost, especially books. I don't know why, but books seem to be the main one. Yeah. Wherever the accumulation of the written word is, you will often find an entity, not a very nice one usually, attached to it. People
probably
bring them into
their
their
one
home.
of like the oldest forms of things that are passed down. I mean, family Bibles and stuff like that.
No, not just that. You go and get them from a thrift store or an antique shop.
Yeah.
Like,
they're commonplace now.
yeah, but that's the thing is like, I don't know why, but words have power. And when you get enough words, I think this is in the Terry Pratchett, that going postal, but it is true. You get enough words together and there is emotion there. You know what I mean? There is emotion, there are stories, there are feelings there. There's things that they can attach to. And once you take it over the threshold of your house, it's in your house. So be careful of what you bring in your house. Personal items and effects that may be old or second-hand or even just picked up by someone, such as jewellery, clothing, things like that, furniture. Dolls. No one likes creepy dolls, but dolls are just effigies originally used to house spirits of the dead. That was their first main
Grandma,
purpose.
you're going to have to get rid of your beagle and your ceramic doll collection.
Ceramic doll or blow up doll? I don't know. Grandma's starting to sound freaky.
She likes to have a good time.
Now, that answers that question, I think.
Well, kind of.
Well,
I mean,
now
you can't just stop thrift
so now you want to know how to
shopping.
protect the home as well. God, I got to do it. No, I'm joking. Okay.
I mean,
so
you go to the store and you're like, ooh, I really want this top, but it looks haunted as F.
Okay.
What do you do?
Okay, yeah. It looks haunted as F. Like, it's like, I don't like the look of those trousers. They look spooky. Spooky trousers.
I'm going to buy them.
I'm going to buy them. You know why? Because I live dangerously. I'm living
I know what
on
I
the
do.
edge.
You know what I do? I'd stick incense in the pockets.
No. One thing. You'll set yourself on fire.
I didn't say I was going to light them.
Then what's the fucking point?
I'm just going to stick them in there. That'll clean it.
Okay. Incense doesn't do anything unless you set intent to it. Same as salt, same as water, same as almost anything, to be completely honest. Everything is programmable to a certain extent, and it is more susceptible to certain things you wish to program it to. Using the traditional 4 elements, the 5th being the spirit, you, in unison with these things, you can cleanse a house. Water, obviously you can use moon water or blessed water, put it around the doorways of your house, sprinkle it on the mirrors, on the floors, you know, those sort of
Sigils.
things. Yeah, you can cast sigils. You can use salt, which is of the earth. You can use air, which is incense, certain incenses.
What about amethyst?
Amethyst isn't really good for protecting. You can, where's the other one? Earth, done that. Water, done that. Fire. Fire, honestly, when it comes to forms of druidic witchcraft, Fire isn't actually considered an element in that sense to use. But however, fire, obviously, you can set fire to your house and then the problem's solved. Well, you could.
And set fire to your pants that you wanted to buy and problem solved.
No, fire, as in like candles, intent is just the passion, basically, of something. It doesn't really work well for cleansing unless, when it's a house. Obviously.
Yeah.
But you got fire there when, in the terms of incense or even a black candle to sort of expel or banish negative energy. It's just common sense. More astringent herbs have always been used to banish evil. It's almost like they knew what they were for. Rosemary, for instance, sage, those sort of things. Mm-hmm. It's kind of common sense in that sense. And also noise. Think of them almost like roosting birds. Where pockets of stagnant or negative energy may hang around in a house, they don't like noise. Banging pots and pans, ringing bells, these sort of things, these frequencies disturb them and disrupt them, which is something good that you can do before you start casting the water, sprinkling it about, sweeping, and like saging or smudging a house. Don't use white sage, obviously, because that is a sacred herb used by native peoples, not just by anyone. It has different implications in that sense.
I think they prefer to, I may be mistaken about this and I need to do more research obviously, but I think they prefer not using the word smudging because that's an indigenous term as well. Smudging?
But you can
cleansing.
You can still make smudge sticks using other things, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. You can use a smudge stick using rosemary.
Yes.
Or there are other forms of sage, not just white sage. There's Russian sage, which I'm quite fond of because it's a beautiful mix sort of between lavender and sage, or clary sage. This sort of thing. There are plenty of other things that you can use.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to get at here.
Just don't get hung up on what you can and can't use in that sense because you really should just follow what you're doing and stop trying to copy what other people are doing.
That's true, actually.
Stop.
Because
stop ripping people off. What the heck?
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Also, I'd like to add into this thing of when it comes to witchcraft, there is this kind of hippy-dippy blanket wrapped around it recently.
Yeah.
And although it's fine, it kind of annoys me sometimes from my practice. And it is like folk magic. It is old ways of magic, of the knowing folk. And this means that there is, blood, stone, bones. And this is the way of dirt and root. And it's dirty. It's a bit grimy. It's of the earth. It is magic that runs through your blood, coursing through your veins and in your bones. It's not always about, Tibetan tapestries and whale music.
The aesthetic. The aesthetic is nice. It's fun.
It's nice. I enjoy it. I have like the odd bits, but remember to bring it back. Okay, because you can get lost in that very easily. Lots of people do, and I get it. It is nice, but lots of people can get lost in that sort of aesthetic of things.
I agree. So, on that note, you can find us on TikTok and Instagram as The Antlered Crown, or on YouTube as Elwyn the Witch.
Yeah. I offer a variety of psychic readings, including bone, tarot, and clairvoyance, as well as spiritual consultations, which are done live and scheduled via Zoom. I am also offering spell work via Instagram, because obviously Etsy won't let me. PM me for what you might need and for pricings.
You can also join our community on Patreon, get access to our Discord server, group meetings, one-on-ones with Elwyn, and other goodies depending on the tier level you choose. And this week's Patreon shout-out is to our two new patrons. We have Mackenzie.
Yes. Hello.
Hello. And we have Natasha.
Yep. Hello.
Hello. Hello, thanks for being our chums.
Chums.
Do you like my British accent?
Don't do that. Please don't do that. Why would you do that?
Because I'm British.
Sure, why not? Okay, what's this? We have merch now.
Yeah.
So check out all this in the description.
And next time, we're going to discuss the different types of clairsentience and coming into your spiritual powers.
Yes, spiritual and psychic, I may add.
Yeah, we're going to talk
because
about
there
all of
are. Yeah.
Just leave it there?
It is. Well, no, it comes different under the rules. Like, people keep a lot of things when it comes to do with spirituality,
Right.
and things that have to do with witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been of that school of thought. The two should be amalgamated. They should come together.
Yeah.
Okay? You can work them both together. You don't have to be one or the other. And I want to kind of add that to that as well, because
Absolutely.
it's important.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next time.
See you then.
And always remember,
Tip your witch, bitch.
bye-bye.
Bye.